React has two main ways to manage data: props and states. Props are like external settings you pass into a component, but state is where things get dynamic. Whether you want a counter, a drop down that remembers your selection, that's all managed through states. In this video, we will break down what a React state is, how it works under the hood, and why managing it properly is the key to build interactive UIs. State is the local data a component controls and updates. State triggers re-renders when it is changed. Unlike prop, which is passed in, state is owned by the component itself. State is mutable, but there is a catch to it, which we will be understanding later on in this video. We can think of state as the component's memory. It remembers things across the re-renders. Now let's jump to the code and see how we use states. Here we have simply declared a state count with initial value 0. We are showing this count as an h2 in our UI. We have also added a button called increase, on click of which the value of count is updated by 1, and the function setCount updates the state. Remember, React re-renders the component whenever the state is changed. Now let's see the output, what has happened. As you can see, we have the current state of count as 0 that we have initialized, and we have an increase button here. Now if I click on the increase, it will increase the count value and show it in our UI. And whenever we click on this button, a re-render is triggered. Now we will also see how this exact same thing will be done in class component. Note that this is an older syntax and you will be only encountering it in real life only if you are working on a legacy code that has not been migrated to functional component yet. So we will just skim through the code just for our theoretical understanding. So as you can see here, this is a class component called counter, and we have declared our state count as 0 inside the constructor. We have also defined an increment function that increases this state by 1. And similar to a functional component, we are showing those values in the UI with an increment button. Now we will simply export this counter and use it in our app.js file. Let's see the output. So as you can see, this is the counter. This is our counter from class component, and we have similar increment button here as well. Now if I click, the value will increase one by one as we have seen earlier. Now remember, I told you that the state is mutable but only in a certain given condition. Let's discuss it further. Now in our previous code, I have made one simple change that I have just used a handle click function here to to change our state. As in real life scenarios also, you won't be directly updating the state variables here. Instead, you will be adding a function and doing it. As in most of the cases, there will be a lot of business logic that might be linked to the updation of state or a click of a button. Now let's come to the point and let's try to directly update the state variable. Let's try to update the state variable directly. Let's see what happens. As a starter, we are already getting warning in our terminal that the count is constant. But now let's see the output. Now if I try to click, as you can see, there will be no change in our count value in the UI. But there is one interesting thing happening. Let me show you by logging the count values. So here in the code, I have made few changes. I have changed const to let to remove that error that we were getting earlier, and I am logging the value of count. Now let's see in the UI what happens. Now if I click on increase, you will see that there will be no change in the value of count in our DOM, but internally its value is being changed. Let me show you. As you can see, the value of count was increasing, but there was no effect on our UI. So why it fails? React has no idea that the value of count has changed, so it does not re-render the component. As a result, the value of count will be updated but won't be reflected in the UI. So here, one thing to note is that React doesn't detect state change unless you use an updater function, which in this case would be setCount, as React needs to know explicitly when to re-render the component. Now let's just correct our code. Now we have just made it like it was before, and now let's see, the increase is working as expected. Now let's understand some basic differences between props and states. Data is in the props is passed from the parents. In states, data is owned and managed locally. Props are immutable while states are mutable by the setter function as we have discussed. The most common uses of props can be that it is used to customize the components while states handle the dynamic behavior inside the component. Props are updated by the parent component while states are updated by the component itself. Now let's summarize what we have discussed so far. State is component's internal memory. It triggers re-render when updated, managed using useStateHook in functional components and this.setState in class components. We should never mutate state directly, instead use the setter function